Well, how about that? That was a bit better, wasn't it? That was more like the Celtic that we've become accustomed to over the last few seasons. A comprehensive win over Hibernian. I'm Hamish Carton, and John McGinley joins me for the live reaction on the 67th Hail Hail channel, and that was pretty good, John.
Yes, I think we all needed that a little bit, Hamish. There's been a lot of, as we've spoken about on the channel before, there's a lot of anxiety going around at the moment. There's a lot of stress going around at the moment. And I think everyone just needed a routine win with a good performance, young players playing well, the captain looking good, Lennon getting his team selection pretty much spot on. And yeah, I've actually got no complaints coming out of the game apart from a couple of injuries. So yeah, I really needed that, and I think other supporters did too.
Definitely, and I can see from the comments firing in already in front of me how positive they are, and I think everyone's quite pleased with how that went. Probably performance of the season for me, taking into account the fact we were up against a Hibernian team who have started the season pretty well. They had a few kind of moments in the game, but I think on the whole it was a really comprehensive victory and a really good performance. There's so many positives probably to pick out from it, John. Is there anywhere you want to start in particular?
Well, we could start with a few players, but I think we've got to start with Frimpong. A player so good on that right flank that Jack Ross had to substitute off his defender at halftime. He absolutely roasted Doig in the first 45 minutes, and I think he just gives us such an outlet on that right side. It's actually thrilling to watch. His pace and trickery is just absolutely lethal at the Scottish Premiership level. And for me, he's an automatic starter at the moment. I know Forrest is perhaps going to be injured for a few weeks yet. He's not. He's doubtful for the Scotland games. He's doubtful for
Yeah.
the Derby. But with Frimpong playing like that today, then hopefully he can really make the position his own and give Forrest real competition.
Yeah, it was a Jimmy Johnson-like performance, wasn't it? The way Frimpong was playing, just beating men at will. And I'm joking in a way using that comparison, but in many ways it was almost like that. Just beating men twice sometimes, and beating guys that are 10 years older than him, wise players. And I think the biggest compliment you can pay him is the one you said. Jack Ross puts on Lewis Stevenson, who's a far more experienced player, kind of mid to late 30s in the second half. And to be honest, he got a little bit more joy against Frimpong, but Frimpong still had loads of really good runs. There was one moment against Stevenson in the second half when Stevenson, who isn't slow by the way, had like a 2 or 3 yard head start on Frimpong, and Frimpong just completely ran past him. He is, I mean,
He's lightning.
that pace is a massive weapon against any team.
Yeah, and I think, because he's young, what's going to come with his game is decision making and the final ball. And I think once he puts all the pieces together, he could be unstoppable at an elite level. And hopefully we see that development during this time at Celtic. But yeah, for me, he was the obvious player to pick out today. But there's a few. Hamish, do you want to give me one?
Well, I'll give you David Turnbull then, because he obviously didn't play the full game, came on at half time for Ryan Christie, and the biggest compliment I can pay David Turnbull from that was that he looked like a Celtic player from the get-go. It wasn't like a player who'd come in from a lower league or a lower Scottish team and was easing his way in and playing little simple passes. And I think his first involvement was stepping over the ball and getting a 1-2 from Edward and then running onto it, and you're just thinking, wow, this guy is exactly what we've needed. Like I've spoken about this for ages. This midfield has gone stale, and it needed someone fresh to come in with that fresh impetus and to bring the team on, like what Frimpong did with the team last year. And I honestly believe David Turnbull could be that guy. For me, like at the moment, like I thought he was much better than Ryan Christie. Like I thought he was head and shoulders. And Christie wasn't bad, but just the
No.
difference in the way he came on in terms of the quality. His set piece delivery was pretty good as well. His shot he had, 2 minutes in, would have been a screaming if that had gone in. And obviously lazy assist on for El Yunusi. I thought, I know it wasn't his debut, but it was his first kind of proper involvement. And as far as those kind of games go, I thought that was right up there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was interesting. I was listening to Gordon Strachan just before we came on air, and he kind of touched on the fact that because Turnbull's so young, he's actually almost from a different generation of football, certainly compared to Brown. And just sometimes having fresh ideas, new ways of approaching the game, having grown up watching different players, for example, he perhaps just has that fresh impetus that we've been wanting in the midfield for a while. I actually thought the whole midfield was good today.
Yeah.
McGregor was,
Brown was
he's
good as
always
well.
solid. Brown was very good today. I was very happy with Scott Brown, and that performance should, at least quieten people down a bit. with regards to his performances of late, and hopefully he's just building towards a peak for the upcoming derby. But yeah, the team is great. I mean, you even think about a player like Greg Taylor, who's had a lot of stick, and he actually took care of Matt and Boyle okay on that flank. And Boyle's one of Hibs' much hyped players, but he was pretty ineffective against us today. So credit there. I mean, all through the team, Ajeti's goal, it was magic, Hamish.
Yeah, magic. We're both delighted. What about you guys and girls watching this video? I'll just read out a couple of the comments that are coming in. Paul McCardle, great performance. Delighted to see Lenny happy, but real shame about Ajeti as he was playing well and probably should have played during the week. I don't know about you, but I just absolutely love Ajeti. See that goal he scores? I just love that kind of goal. I don't think there's another player in our squad, maybe other than Lee Griffiths, that scores that kind of goal. See when I think it was El Yunusi with the kind of toe poke, and everyone else is dead to the danger. No one knows what's happening. The one man who's right onto it, Ajeti, slams it, and I just love that kind of goal.
Yeah, and it's something that we kind of spoke about when he signed. If you looked at his highlights for Bâle in Switzerland, all of his finishes were 1 or 2 touch finishes, and the vast majority were actually just his first touch. He was running onto the ball, he was taking them with both feet, and he's that kind of player. He's not gonna dwell on the ball, especially when he's in that box. And yeah, outstanding. And El Yunusi starting as a second striker today, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he managed to get on the score sheet as well. So that's 2 in 2 games for him now, and he looks like he's got a point to prove. He actually spoke in the days prior to the match about proving his doubters wrong, and not sulking because he's been on the bench of late, but just wanting to prove the manager wrong as well. And I'm quite happy for him to come out with those kind of comments, because I think it shows his hunger, and I think it was obvious today that he was out to impress.
I really like him central. I know he was signed originally as a left-sided player. I always feel that his attributes are more suited to him being central. The way he kind of goes into those pockets of space, especially in a big pitch like at Celtic Park. I think these home games is where he really excels. And he often doesn't really have the pace, I think, to beat a man with trickery or a burst of speed down the left wing. And I like to see him central. I thought he was brilliant today. He's just a real good technician. He takes the ball in, quite like McGregor in a way, in that he keeps the ball close to him. He doesn't give it away. He uses his body really well. I just thought there was loads of positives today. I'm actually quite surprised with how good we were, because when I saw that team, I was a little bit concerned. But I just thought we were brilliant against one of the better teams in Scotland as well. This wasn't Hamilton Accies we're playing today. This is a team that drew and could have beaten Rangers last Sunday, albeit in Edinburgh, and we tore them to pieces. I mean, it was 3-0, but it could have been 4 or 5 easily. And
that's something else that we've spoken about as well. It's just when a team comes onto us and kind of leaves space, Celtic are so well equipped to exploit that kind of space. It's when we face that low block and players crowd the box that we have kind of struggled in the past. But I think Jack Ross was always going to come to Glasgow today and try and have a go, and they did. There was fairly end to end in the first half an hour. And I actually thought they were pretty decent in that first half, but Celtic had the quality and the clinical nature to get themselves ahead, and going into the break you're thinking it's game over, and then the goal scored in the second half, and we're all happy days. We're all smiling. You're smiling for a change, Hamish.
Wow, I'll take that the wrong way. Looking forward, is that the result that can kickstart our season? Because that's the question loads of people were saying. We've been looking at this team, me and you, and probably every other, the thousands of Celtic fans around the world, or the millions, looking at the team and thinking they just need this game, or they just need this moment even to kickstart this new team with the new keeper, the new centre-back, etc. Was that it today?
Well, it might not even be a moment, but let's look ahead. So over the next 8 days, 3 things are going to happen. We're going to play Sarajevo in Bosnia, which is a huge match. Then we've got another match on Sunday against St Johnstone, and the transfer window is going to close. So this is a really pivotal week. If we can come out of the transfer window having picked up these 2 victories and kept the vast majority of our best players, specifically Edouard, then I think we can all kind of exhale a little bit, look ahead to the future, and kind of move on and just be thankful for what we have achieved so far this season, and be excited about how good the team can be. Because if we play like that consistently, no one's going to have any worries. And hopefully, as I said earlier in the video, if we can just kind of hit a peak for the Rangers match next month, then we're going to give them a hell of a game as well. Because I mean, you can't lie, they're looking pretty impressive too. I watched their game today, and they're looking decent. So I want us to be our absolute peak of our powers for that game. But the next week's going to say a lot about it because if we go out the Europa League, for example, we'll be back to square one in terms of everyone's frowning faces. So it's a huge game in Bosnia. It's a huge game next Sunday, and then it's a huge transfer deadline day too.
Yeah, we've got 2 games and then we're off for the international break, and obviously we return with that game against Rangers, so the big games just keep coming. But as I say, I just feel far more positive about it. It's crazy what 90 minutes of football can do. You weren't on Thursday night, but me and David were on. We won the game in Latvia,
yes.
And we weren't too happy, and then what was that, 72 hours on, something like that, we look much better, and things just look a lot better from one performance. I think that's the key, that as low as we got on Thursday, probably despite winning, we can't afford to get too high today, because it is only 3 points. We can address the positives. We can maybe touch on some of the things that could still improve. For example, I think the communication between the defenders still has a way to go. There was a few moments when maybe Barkas was coming out for balls and missing them, or there's a bit of indecision in there, and I think Shane Duffy's kind of still to get up to his top level. He's looking a wee bit lax with some of the things he can do, or he's doing. But I think in general it was really good. But as you say, it's all about that game on Thursday now. It all just rolls on, and you're only 90 minutes away from another disaster. What do you think about the game on Thursday? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think Celtic obviously beat Sarajevo pretty handily last summer in qualifying.
Tough though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's difficult. Make no mistake, it's going to be a tough 90 minutes again, but I think Celtic will have too much for them. The game's not actually being held in their home stadium. They're playing 40 miles down the road, so they're not exactly on the most comfortable footing either. No crowds, so I'm looking forward to it, but I think Celtic will have the quality. I certainly expect them to, and hopefully it won't be as nervy as against Riga, because I saw you and David after that one, and we don't want a repeat of those faces.
I know, it was tough, but we have to do it for our wonderful subscribers out there. By the way, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel and you're watching this video, why not give it a go now? We've got the likes of John McGinley, we've got David Walton, we've even got me, and we've even got Celtic legend Jackie McNamara, who appears on the channel pretty regularly, including tomorrow. So if you don't want to miss out on any of those future videos, give us a wee subscribe now. Kieran Murphy has been in touch, missed the game today, lads. Sounded like a good solid team performance. Turnbull was very decent by all accounts, 3 goals, clean sheet. Glad we got the 3rd goal rather than a 2-1 edgy finish. I think that was always the fear after last week against Livy, and I think at 2-0 Hibs had a couple of wee kind of half chances, but when that 3rd goal went in, it was just a clenched fist, and 3 points, let's move on.
Yeah, and then you saw even when we scored the 2nd goal, Scott Brown was urging the team on to kind of push on, kind of cajoling people, and I think that's the X factor that Scott Brown has sometimes, is that he does push the team on not to settle for a 2-0 cushion and to try and continue bringing the game to Hibs. And he got forward very well today, and was actually played in a more advanced role than he has of late. And perhaps that's the key to getting the best out of him, because we don't really need him to sit all the time, and we've spoken about that too. In these home matches, if we can kind of deploy Scott Brown a bit further forward, if he's got a bit more ambition to get into the box, then it just makes us all the more dynamic all round, because he's taking runners away, he's taking men away, he's a threat himself. So yeah, good from Brown.
Definitely. Scott Giles has also been in touch. Massive victory today, lads. Next 3 games are season defining. I guess that quite often with Celtic there's a temptation to say that. However, I probably agree with Scott on that one. It's a big few games, and as you say, it's not just the stuff happening on the park as well, it's the stuff that happens in the transfer window as well. Another thing I wanted to bring up, Alan Stubbs was on the co-coms on Past the Paradise. I thought he was pretty good. I don't know if anyone disagrees. It was good that he kind of had the insight in Hibernian, and also obviously has a Celtic connection as well. So that was my first experience of Past the Paradise. My good pal Lewis sorted me out, so big thanks to him, and I got to see the game, so panic over, and I thought it worked quite well.
Yeah, I mean, as I've said before, Past the Paradise has worked flawlessly for me, and I've actually been pretty impressed with the coverage. It's a step up from Celtic TV's usual fare. I think the commentary's been good. It's obviously BT standard with Rory Hamilton. So yeah, I'm really happy with Past the Paradise. If we can sort out a bit of additional value for season ticket holders, we'll be laughing.
Exactly. Right, I think we're going to pretty much round the video up. I'll give you the final kind of outro, John, just your final thoughts on today and where it leaves us going forward. Your final summing up of the day's action.
And my final summing up is that it was just a day everyone needed. As the same as my intro, everyone was just looking for a kind of easy day of watching Celtic. It's been a bit scary of late. And as one of the viewers alluded to there, it's a little bit scary going forward too. But if we can play like we did today, if the team can show that kind of attacking edge, then we should be fine. I'm happy. I'm looking forward to what this brings. He's right, season defining, and that's what it's all about when you're a supporter. You want these big matches, you want these big occasions, and you want these dramatic things to happen. And as long as Celtic are on top come the end of it, then it's all good with me.
Definitely. I won't follow you with a summing up. I'll simply just smile and show everyone how happy I am in comparison to Thursday night. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. We go again on Thursday night with the Sarajevo game. We'll be back after that one as well. Obviously videos coming in the next few days as well. As I say, if you would mind subscribing, that'd be massively appreciated, and we'll speak to you very soon. Hail, hail.